morning, guys. Welcome to Teddy Unscripted on a very, very rainy day. I always watch that intro and I'm like, oh, I used to dress so cute and so like nice and put so much time into my outfits, and now it rains every single day and there's no use in putting any effort into my outfits anymore or makeup on because it's all gonna come off. Welcome to South Florida, rainy season, hurricanes galore. How fun. But welcome to a very wonderful Friday. I wanted to give a quick update on Lewis, who gave us the wonderful name for Walter Dean, who's now holding my mask because it's on my laptop with me because it's doing work over there. We are going to be doing, and let me know in the comments if you guys are like actually interested in this, because I thought it'd be really cool. If you don't know, on the 2020 network, we have a baking show called Homemade with the Animator, and he has made amazing things. He has made pancakes, apple pie, he's made ice cream, he's made cookies, and it's always really delicious, but it's always stuff that I, as a frequent I can't eat sugar else I go crazy person, can't always eat. And I'm really looking forward to this next episode because I got to help in it a little bit. It's kind of fun. But again, I can't really eat much of it because sugar makes me just absolutely crazy. So I was talking to the wonderful Lewis Mayer, who did the name for Walter Dean, who won that contest. And he, which I knew because I've known him since college, but like I don't think we ever got super close, and it wasn't something that was defining. Like there were so many other defining characteristics of him of like, oh my God, Lewis, he was the nicest person ever. I forgot that he cooks all this amazing Jewish food. And we had met at Chabad in college, and I was like, what an amazing idea. And I had asked him to be on the show, and I just asked him to be on, because he's a great person. He does a lot of philanthropy. And he was like, yeah, I would love to do a Jewish cooking segment. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even think of that. That's amazing. So hopefully next week we are going to have a quick talk and get started on maybe once a week, once every other week. I don't want to push him for it. Doing a Jewish cooking segment. I thought it'd be a kind of fun, interesting interject into, you can look at Hector's amazing baking, and we can look at Lewis's cooking, and we can have a full food. I don't want to say full healthy because Jewish food is very rarely healthy, but I think it'll be really fun. And I did kind of want to go over, I know the other day I was talking about the Aunt Jemima brand and that they're rebranding, and you should definitely catch the Brooklyn Cafe show at 12 because I'm going to do a little segment on there kind of updating what's going on. I just did want to add as a quick thing that I found out that Uncle Ben's and Miss Butterworth are also considering rebranding, so even more of a win. Yay, let's get all this stuff going. And like I said, I will do a full update on the Brooklyn Cafe show. But just wanted to give that. I also wanted to give a little information because, as again I said on Wednesday, it is Pride Month. It was not Black Lives Matter Spirit Week last week. We are still pushing forward. We are still going. And I saw something that was very interesting on Affiliated Press today. That was how a lot of Black activists are actually getting censored and silenced on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And I have a whole article here that's from there, and it's taken from, a lot of different sources writing about this. But all I could do was think of a few years ago, YouTube was really censoring LGBT videos. Anything with any type of gay, trans, bi, even just ally information was being censored from YouTube, being taken down, demonetized, and you could actually get strikes for it, which if you don't know, on YouTube, if you get 2-3 strikes, like your channel gets deleted, you can't do from your IP address anymore, and it's a big deal. And all I could think of was YouTube, it never stopped it. YouTube, to the best of my knowledge, never actually gave an apology saying that was wrong of us, it was incorrect. I believe they blamed it on technical error, and they just, I guess, stopped, because I've seen a lot of LGBT pro content on the channel, so I'm glad that it did stop. But there was never a real definitive like, oh no, oh that's bad, we messed up on there. So to see something like this from Facebook, which is, I'm not 100% sure, I think they're also owned by the same company, or at least their sister companies, their social media, to see them doing the same thing and censoring activists, specifically Black activists, I wanted to really bring that forward. So I have, if you see me looking at my notes, I can't memorize things, guys. There's a reason I did behind the scenes in theater. So Louisa Doran, who is an anti-racism activist, she does a lot of workshops online. She was posting online about come to this, come to that, pictures of her. And she had everyone from the workshop was also posting about it. Apparently in the middle of her workshop, she had about 8 women who she said it was a Zoom workshop, and they just started making faces. And so she's like, I stopped and I asked them what was wrong. And apparently they had all got notifications at about the same time that all of their Instagram posts, Facebook posts that had anything having to do with Louisa's name, with her content, pictures of her, anything relating to her workshops, had all been not only taken down, but flagged for abuse of community guidelines, I believe. Yes, that they violated community guidelines. She said that it wasn't the first time, and that in the past, Facebook has actually prevented her account from going live, has prevented her and removed some of her posts, saying that, again, it violates community guidelines, which, if you don't know, is supposed to protect against hate speech and bullying and all that. But she's an anti-racist activist, so it was a bit strange. Again, she said it wasn't the first time. She's not the first Black activist that this has happened to, and it's actually a pretty common thing. A spokesperson from Facebook told BuzzFeed News the action against Oren's accounts were temporary and unrelated to her content, blaming it on a technical issue, flagging her on spam, which sounds a lot like I said, what Facebook did. And if you don't know, there is a big YouTuber named Spanky Valentine who a few years ago went through a huge thing. She had, I think, 1.7 million followers on YouTube. And let me specify, though she is a Black YouTube content creator, I don't believe she was really making videos on, activism or anything. She's a film creator. She creates these, and if you haven't seen them, they're amazing. They're hilarious. She does amazing cinematography on just funny skits, funny videos that go on in her life and all that. She's not specifically an activist. And she went through a thing that I believe she's still going through with YouTube, where they deleted her channel. All of her followers were gone. She was not showing up on any type of timeline. Even her subscribers, people who put notifications on for her, couldn't get her content. You had to specifically look up her content and her name. And even then, she was like the 5th result. And she had done a video where she went to YouTube and, emailed them and tried to talk to them saying, hey, this happened, and they're saying, oh, it's a bug in the system, oh, it's a bug in the system. But it had gone on for months and months to where she finally got a hold of someone at YouTube tech support, like the big people, the head people, corporate, and they said, oh, it's a really random bug that's in the system that for some reason flagged your content as spam. We have no idea why this happened, and there's absolutely no way to fix it. And so the only option she had was to create a whole new channel, which, if you don't know, creating a whole new channel on YouTube, which, by the way, you can catch my show on YouTube, Teddy Unscripted, but it's really hard to get a new audience because YouTube isn't like Instagram. Hashtags don't work that well. Tags don't work that well. The only way that you can get an actual audience on YouTube is to have people specifically searching your name and subscribing to you, or having, some big YouTuber give you shout outs. So thankfully, a lot of YouTube content creators did come out, shout out to Spanky Valentine, saying go follow her new channel, because she was a huge person. She was a huge personality. I remember watching her as a kid. And so this isn't the first time this has happened. It's been blamed on technical issues. Whether it's a coincidence that she was also a Black content creator or not, I don't know. But it is worth mentioning. So the spokesperson also said specifically, the voices speaking out against racial injustice and systematic racism are critical. I can't read. Critical right now, and we are trying to elevate them, not silence them. These examples were enforcement mistakes, and they were certainly not intentional. So it is good that Facebook is speaking out, saying, oh, this is really important. We want these voices. We want everything to come out. This was a complete mistake. It was spam, whatever, like I said. On the other end, their enforcement hasn't really been working. There's been a lot of backlash against Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube about how activism and LGBT posts have been going down, but hate speech posts, white supremacist, anti-Semitic, racist posts have not been taken down. And there's also another, social media called TikTok, where, again, a lot of people have been taken down for doing absolutely nothing. But if you have hate speech, white supremacy, whatever, no one's taking that down, and it's not being reviewed. And there's actually been convicted pedophiles on some of these social media sites who have gloated about it or been caught by other social media people. And websites aren't doing anything, but God forbid you talk about how you're gay on TikTok and they'll take it down for absolutely no reason, or you'll get what's called shadow banned, which is where the video's still up, but it's not coming up on people's For You pages, even if they subscribe to or follow you. And so it's not exactly a new issue, and it's something that we really need to look at, because if these programs are being put into, the world saying, no, this was a mistake, she got accidentally flagged as hate speech, or she got accidentally flagged, we're trying to enforce, put down the bad things, bring up the good things, why are all these hate speeches still up? And they're still not being taken down. A lot of people have a specific issue with President Donald Trump, and I'm not getting into politics, whatever you think of him, that is your opinion. But he put out a tweet, and it also went on Facebook, I believe, saying when the looting starts, the shooting starts, alluding to the fact that he had put out another tweet saying, when people start looting, that's when they're going to send in the military on them. And again, whether you agree with him or not, that is your opinion. I'm not here to talk about that, but that is considered hate speech, and that is a death threat to looters. And though looting is a crime, it is still a death threat, and it still violates community guidelines, and yet that was never taken down. So there's a lot of issues. Instagram, Okay, so last Thursday, Facebook and Instagram announced their support to Black-owned businesses and organizations. However, many activists say Facebook has a long way to go to rebuild their trust after refusing to take down Trump and the likes tweets. Facebook's all that. I believe they have been talking about putting out a new, what they call task force or algorithm, to try and put down all of the hate speech. And I hate have to say hate speech, because it's something that should never be in the environment, especially in social media, because kids are so, and I've talked about this with Kendra Erica, if you guys have watched that show, kids are so vulnerable when they're on the social media page. I mean, my nieces, I've created a lot of social media pages, I talk too fast, to follow my nieces specifically, because they're in that exact age range where they are in the 12 to 16 age range. This is really influencing them, and what they see on social media is what they need to see, and especially having me as an aunt who's Jewish, and I have to see this anti-Semitism, and they're half Jewish, and they have to see this anti-Semitism that we think is dead. And they have all of their friends and all of my friends. I grew up with such a racially diverse friend group, and to have to talk to one of my friends who's Indian and talk about all the anti-Indian things going on, and if I have to talk to my best friend who's Middle Eastern, she's from Egypt, and I have to hear all of these racist things, that even though she's Middle Eastern, not black, she still gets roped in with a lot of the with the anti-black stuff, and it's terrible. It's terrible and racist, and for social media to be so strict on denying people talking about who they actually are, of gay, straight, lesbian, bi, whatever, and not specifically taking down the people who are making you feel horrible for something that you can't help, isn't really the greatest thing. And I wanted to ask if you guys want to grab a mic, because I see Mia staring meaningfully at me. I caught the eye of meaningful stare. What's up?
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you're saying. I do think that our generation is kind of, even with the social media movement, I think that we're doing more good right now than harm, but I think it's a lot of the older generations. Like when I go on Facebook and I see my mom's friends and older people from my life, those are the people that are saying the most horrible things. I'm like, okay, unfollow.
Yeah, and there are some that are amazing. My grandmother, and I was telling Kelsey about this last week, is the most progressive. My grandmother, if she wasn't in her 80s and we weren't in a pandemic, she'd be leading the protests. I mean, she is, and you'll see her, but shout out to you, Bubs. She's crazy, but we love her, and she's absolutely amazing. So I do want to shout out to all the progressive people. You can walk in front of it, it's fine. Freddie's sneaking. But I do want to give a shout out to all the amazing people in the generations older than us who are fighting for it. But you're completely right. It is a lot of, and you see the videos all the time, of people just being, I don't even know, prejudiced because of, I guess, whoa, the TVs just went out. Oh, thanks. Because of how they were brought up. And I think I talked about last week, and I don't know if you guys heard the story, that there was a woman who had, and there's a viral video of it, she's a CEO of a makeup company that I'm not going to bring up because I think she's been crucified enough, but she's the CEO of a makeup and skincare company. And there was a man who was putting chalk. He was writing, I believe, stenciling Black Lives Matter onto his house in San Francisco. He owned that house. He lived there. It was chalk. He was allowed to do it. It was his property. He was outside stenciling it onto his wall or sidewalk or something. And this woman and her husband came up to him, and I believe it started calmly saying, "Who are you? Do you know that this is illegal? Do you know who lives here?" And he's filming them saying, "No, it's not illegal. Yes, I know who lives here. It's okay. I can do this." And they keep saying, "Well, who lives here?" And he's saying, "I don't have to answer that question," which I can see in the way of, yes, that's rude, but also he doesn't have to answer that question. For all they could care, it's his friend's house. For all they know, he was hired to do this. You can't give out personal information. You don't have to. And so the video escalates to them yelling at him, saying, "We know who lives here. We know you don't live here. This is illegal. We're going to call the cops." And him saying, "That's fine. You can call the cops because he lived there." And this goes on for a while. They finally walk away saying that they are going to call the police. To the best of my knowledge, they never called the police, or the police never showed up. He never posted an update on that. But the internet, being the stalker trolls that we are, and the millennial Gen Z generation, found out who she was, found out that she was the owner of this skincare makeup company. And many companies now have actually cut ties with her. She was in Birchbox. I believe that's how she mainly sold her products. And they have completely cut ties with her because companies are realizing that you can't have bad apples. And at some point, the country is going to get to the point where we realize police need more training. We can't have bad apples in any type of profession. If you're a bad apple, you don't need to be there. Again, I'm not going to get into the politics of it because I don't feel like getting in Facebook fights. But I think it is super important to realize that the rest of the country is stepping up and realizing we don't need this bad person in our company. We're doing just fine without them. Goodbye. We can cut ties with this. We're not going to risk the entire rest of the population because you want to make an idiot of yourself online. And there was another video of a woman who was in I think a coffee shop. She was waiting for a bagel or food or something. Someone asked her to put her mask on, and some other person immediately started filming, which isn't it great that we have phones in our generation? We can film all these terrible things. But she started yelling at the person, calling them slurs and curse words. And at the end, she grabs her food, and you can see her walk over and cough open mouth. Remember, we're in a pandemic. Cough open mouth at all these people, walk away, and you see her kind of like eye contact with the camera, and she just grabs her stuff and runs. And you realize that at that moment, people are going to find you. We are now being held responsible for our actions, which we should have been doing in the first place, and which I believe is happening now in the country, that people in power are being held responsible for their actions. And I think it's a great thing. I see the mic raising. Are you good? Yeah, I do. Just interrupt me.
About that.
Interrupt me. Go.
I think it's kind of good in ways that right now it's like everyone is so like aware of what everyone's saying on social media, but in some ways I think it's like almost becoming bad. Like it's almost like we don't have freedom of speech anymore. Mm-hmm. Like I'm thinking of like Ellen DeGeneres the other week, or Leah Michelle. Basically, like everyone in the media jumped down their throats over things they said, even though they were trying to say the right thing. Mm-hmm. But it's like everyone misconstrued it, and it's like you could lose all your deals, you could like lose your job. It's just like insane. Like quickly.
It is. You do have to walk on eggshells, and that is a really good point. That is really awesome that we're being held responsible. But yeah, it is kind of like a big brother. And you do have to walk on eggshells because anything you say, that's why I try and be at least mostly unbiased in my show, because it is really scary. And I have no issue admitting I'm terrified of I say something and it comes off as incorrect, it comes off as offensive, and that's it. You can be, cancel culture, no matter what you think of it, is still around and live and well. And it is a huge fear of anyone who puts out content, or even if just like a person, a role model. As, not that I consider myself a role model, but the celebrities, Leah Michelle, the Kardashians, anything they say can be taken the wrong way when they don't mean it, and can really get you crucified. And yeah, you're right. It can ruin deals for you. It can ruin anything for you. So it is a big brother. It's a double-edged sword, and it's harder to work on eggshells. And it is important to educate yourself, but unfortunately it's impossible to educate yourself on everything. And you can try the best you can. You can watch documentaries. You can read the books. You can talk to people, hear their opinions. You can be the good ally that you're supposed to be to yourself and to others. But no matter what, you're going to say something that offends somebody. I can say the sky is blue and it's going to offend somebody. I can say I'm Jewish and it's going to offend somebody. And it's just how extremist of a person they are that they react to it. That are they going to say, okay, that wasn't cool, whatever, or are they going to try and ruin your life? And I think it is a really good point to put out too, that the man who was videotaped getting the chalk, he was interviewed and said, I'm not trying to ruin this woman's life. I videotaped it because she does need to be held responsible. And unfortunately, things get out of hand. And that's happened on internet culture for years. I mean, someone on YouTube will say something, they'll put an apology video out. People don't appreciate the apology video. They don't think it's good enough, and they will lose everything. They'll lose all their followers, all their subscribers. Their content won't get shown anymore. People start breaking deals with them because you don't have the views. People aren't going to want to make deals with you no matter what they think of what you actually did. And I mean, there's been things of people sending death threats to people because, I said something controversial and I make this makeup. Someone else said that they like this makeup. That person has been getting death threats because they happen to support somebody. Or there's a lot of things I've been told before multiple times, because I try not to keep up on a lot of that stuff because there's just too much of it. I can't wrap my head around it. I can't try and care. Not that I don't care, but I don't. I'm sorry. If I like a makeup, I'm going to buy it unless that person's like a pedophile, child abuser, or something terrible. Because they said something mean online to someone else, I can't care too much about that. And I've had people see me using certain makeup products and be like, did you know what that person did 18 years ago? I'm like, I was a kid 18 years ago. I have no idea what they did. Or I would listen to a song because, I was back in my emo days. I would listen to songs. Sometimes you want to hear a throwback, and people, do you know what the lead singer of that did to kids in concerts? I'm like, how am I supposed to know all of this? So yeah, I think Mia brings up a really awesome point. And speaking of Mia, I do want to also give a shout out to our wonderful producer, Dina, who's running board for her first time today, and she's absolutely killing it. Just a little positive note from everything's happening. She's doing really awesome. This is her first time doing board. I know Dawn just showed her really quickly, but I'm still on air. I'm still posted out, which is already better than the first time I ever did board, so I'm proud of you. And yeah, I guess that's about the end of the show. I didn't want to put so much negativity out there, but I did want to get some little bit of information out there before going from like the awesome, we're going to get a cooking segment to this is serious and something we really need to talk about. And something that I want to bring up specifically for Pride Month. And I also would like to highlight someone. I'm going to leave it a little surprise next week. I'm going to put together, if you guys remember, I was asking for LGBT stories. And still, if you guys have any coming out stories about just being an ally or in the LGBT community or the Black Lives Matter community, I would love to do 2 different shows. Please send me stories, send me videos, send me pictures. I've already had some people sending me their stories and pictures and videos, and it really does. It's amazing to see this stuff, and it's amazing to see just from all ends. But we had David, who was wonderful and was on my Axe Throwing League with me. He sent me these pictures that I'm going to put up next week with a little collage of his church doing Pride Month, Pride Week parades, and they were really wonderful, and they're the cutest pictures. So look forward to that next week. And I hope you guys have a really awesome day, really awesome weekend. Please stay dry. It is so rainy out. Hopefully when you guys see me next, I won't be wearing another big rainproof jacket. It's freezing and it's wet and cold out, and I don't like the rain. But I hope you guys have a really great day, and I'll see you next time.